Bad number. No Matty V, no Harold, no Lauren Shahadi. But we got you. We still got Keith Costas.
And we got Adman.
And we got, as Harold would be referring to me. But we got John Heyman, too.
Yeah, we do. And
I love
and by the way, he's bringing it.
There's no question about it. You kind of gave him a pep talk. You gave one to me as well, because I was early on the call. I was really focused. You listen, don't peak early. I've played with guys like you.
So
you come in.
So the story is, the first car in the parking lot was you.
Yeah.
And I said, that doesn't necessarily mean anything. Because you could be up in your office sleeping, napping, doing whatever.
It's all I watch.
Out here at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
That's when it starts.
Well, once BP goes.
There we go.
All right. We got lots to talk about today. We're 2 weeks away from opening day. We've got Sonny Gray joining us today, Jeremy Affelt, lots of great stuff on tap. And also our friend John Heyman. Let's tweet press conference at Citi Field this morning for NYC Mayor Eric Adams to issue an exemption for athletes and entertainers to be exempt from the private sector vaccine mandate, clearing the way for unvaccinated Mets and Yankees to play home games. Kyrie, too. Listen, John Heyman, a man of all sports, okay? He's not just following the baseball. He knows the basketball. He knows what's going on with Kyrie Irving. Been a very contentious issue. And there's John joining us right now. John, this is great news. You know, we know the names that have been bandied about, allegedly Aaron Judge, Jacob deGrom, others. Bottom line is this. The mayor, Eric Adams, said, we're going to get this done. And we saw this, in fact, matter of fact, here in the Daily News. It is gone. Unvaxxed Yanks, Mets can play ball as Adams set to drop mandate. What led to this decision?
Well, I think it was common sense. I mean, at this point, the COVID rate is very low in New York City. And obviously, these players were all able to play last year when the COVID rate was much, much higher. So I think basically common sense prevailed. And thanks to Mayor Adams, we are going to be able to have the full team, Yankees and Mets, and of course the visiting players as well. They wouldn't have been able to play either. There were 2 or 3 Yankees still unvaccinated, so they're one of the better teams getting the vaccinations. And the Mets last year had reportedly more than 10. They're a little down from that number this year, which is good, but they're all going to be able to play now.
And also, when you look at some of the names that are out there, as far as guys still in the free agent market, Michael Conforto still out there in the mix. And it's interesting, John, I believe at some point you may have reported, I think he turned in a $100 million deal with the Mets a season ago. He's like kind of the best free agent available now, still standing 2 weeks away. What are you hearing about Conforto?
Yeah, I agree. The best free agent available, also the only one with the qualifying offer. So whoever gets him is going to have to give up a little bit of compensation. You know, the Rangers would have to give up less compensation. They've already signed 2 free agents with the qualifying offer attached. Obviously, Seager and Semien. Their outfield still needs a little work. They're still working on it. So to me, the Texas Rangers are a great fit. Some other teams that I think may be looking around at the outfield position would be the Rays and the Giants. The Giants have said they're basically done. I think they've had a very good winter, but I think they're looking at it a bit. Possibility. And the team that, to me, that fits best is an excellent team, the White Sox. They are a terrific team on paper, but they are very, very heavily right-handed. Look at all their stars, generally right-handed. You know, we got 1 or 2 lefties on that team, but basically righty-heavy. So, to me, Conforto would fit the White Sox beautifully. They have not signed a ton of Scott Boras clients in the past. They did sign Dallas Keuchel, who's Scott Boras client, so not going to rule it out. But to me, White Sox make the most sense. Maybe the Rangers are most likely at this point.
What do you think, Bill?
You know, John, you said that Scott Boras, then you threw out qualifying offer, and I'm putting those two together thinking, okay, this doesn't look like Conforto goes anywhere on like a 1-year deal to try to reset his value, because I think the qualifying offer is going to kind of impede that a little bit, as well as Scott Boras, because he usually gets his clients, you know, the moon. So do you see that that's a possibility maybe for him to go somewhere, maybe on not a contender, to try to reset his value?
Yeah, I'm not going to rule anything out. I would think at this point that he would do better than a 1-year deal. Maybe a little bit longer deal with a 1-year opt-out, possibly. But, you know, obviously teams have to give up that qualifying offer. They don't love to sign someone for 1 year, giving up the qualifying offer. That's why I say Texas makes sense. They've already signed Semien and Seager. They'd have to give up a fairly low-round draft pick at this point. So Texas may make the most sense. Obviously, Seager and Semien got $500 million between them. Also, both Scott Boras clients. He's done a lot of business with Texas. To me, that one makes a lot of sense. But again, I say the White Sox make the most sense. They're a great team. Look like a potential favorite in the American League. And if they just had a left-handed batter in that middle of that lineup, they'd really be something.
What's $500 million among friends? Yeah. Best free agent pitcher still available, by the way, John. Johnny Cueto.
Yes.
And listen, I know he's no longer an ace, but love the quick pitching, love the antics, veteran guy. Give me a one-year deal and a good team. Where can you see Johnny be a good landing?
Well, the team that makes the most sense to me, and I was just there yesterday at their camp to see the Carlos Correa ceremony, would be the Twins. Right now they have 3 kids in the 3, 4, and 5 spots. They like them, but, teams are trying to load up and have depth at the starting pitching position, understandably so, with all the attrition that we see among starting pitchers. To me, I mean, basically any of those teams that have been looking at Manaea and Montas and may not get them now, we'll talk a little bit more about that later, should be in the mix. I mean, obviously the Cardinals with the Flaherty injury situation could be a possibility for Cueto. The Yankees are looking at pitching potentially. Kansas City would like another pitcher. White Sox, well, their pitching is good. They were in the mix on Montas and Manaea. So to me, Cueto had that 100 ERA plus. You're right, not an ace anymore, but certainly a solid mid-rotation starter at this point with excellent control. I think the Twins, with all those young kids in the rotation, he'd really be a good fit there.
Twins seem to be linked to every veteran pitcher. They need some help there. Despite the fact Sonny Gray, who will be joining us a little bit later on, Randy Dobnak, finger soreness, Maeda out for the season, so they could definitely use another arm. He goes to the Yankees, needs a haircut and a beard trim as well, at the very least. How about some news involving the Dodgers potentially, John? And that's Dave Roberts, the manager. We all listen. Doc is one of the great guys in the game. So well liked by all the players. Certainly been criticized at times for some managerial moves. Obviously, Andrew Freeman pulling the strings here and there. But Dave and the Dodgers talking about an extension. What are you hearing there?
I'll just say on the managers, first of all, every manager gets criticized, particularly the managers in the big markets, particularly the managers who've been on the big stage. I think Dave Roberts is an excellent manager, no matter what criticism he may be getting. But he's a lame duck going into this year, signed a 4-year deal in 2018. This is the last year on that contract, and they are working on it. And my understanding is it is closer now to getting something done with Dave Roberts. And obviously both sides want to get it done. There is certainly hope there. I mean, it's a great job. They have an outstanding team. They'll be the favorite again in the National League and in baseball. And, I think they'll probably get this done, but they are close now.
Reaching the postseason all 6 seasons, manager of the year, World Series champion. Tough to argue and top Dave Roberts' resume. A's starters in the market. We thought, John, these guys were going, right? Frankie Montas, Sean Manaea, already got rid of Olsen and Chapman, but now maybe the A's will wait a little bit on these guys?
Yeah, I mean, the A's are holding a fire sale, so we assume that Montas and Manaea will be going, and they talked to just about every team regarding these 2 great young pitchers. At this point, the feeling among the interested teams is that both Montas and Manaea may end up staying in Oakland. Certainly that seems to be the case with Montas, who's got 2 years to go before free agency. Manaea only has a year to go, and it is logical that he be dealt at some point. But right now, the interested teams aren't getting callbacks, and they're kind of under the belief that the A's may at least enter the season with at least one of these pitchers, and quite possibly both. Obviously, they can be traded once the season starts, and certainly at the trade deadline, both very valuable. Manaea, lefty. Montas, the guy who struck out over 200 batters last year. And again, he's got 2 years to go. So, obviously very valuable pitchers. And again, Kansas City, Minnesota, St. Louis, Yankees, many others in the mix, possibly, but less likely today than it was maybe a week ago.
Talked to Mark Mulder yesterday at a high heat, and I said, yeah, A's fire sales. They're still doing that? I'm like, oh, yeah, every few years, just replenish guys in, build another winner, win 95 games. That's what they do, right, John?
I'd like to criticize them, but they come back and win 90 games in half the years anyway. It's an amazing, amazing feat.
Last one for you. Matt Harvey throwing in Florida. Really? Harvey getting another shot, drawing some interest?
Yes, he is. The word is he is throwing well down here in Miami near me. I haven't gotten to see him, but I heard he's throwing well. And, yes, he does have some interest, and potentially will have a deal again. Yes, Matt Harvey.
Wow. I mean, that's listen, Those numbers do not lie. 7.09 ERA in 2019, 2020, again, shortened season, I get that, but 11.5, and then last year, 6.27. And you're telling me this is where pitching is now in baseball. Matt Harvey still going to get another shot.
Well, maybe it's that trend. 11 ERA 2 years ago, 6 ERA last year. If that trend continues, he's going to have a 1 ERA this year, right? Billy's a numbers expert. He knows that.
It's going down by 5. You're
going
right.
down. Exactly right.
It's just divide by 2. 11 around 6 to go down to 3. All right. Great stuff, John. We'll talk to you again soon.
All right, Edna.
That's our friend John Heyman. Let's talk a little further about Dave Roberts because, John was saying, I feel like every postseason, right, that magnifying glass goes on him and goes, I don't like the fact, this is the term, micromanaging. Pulls the pitcher after 4 1/3, went to the lefty a little bit early. And I'm like, listen, part of that is the way the world is now. You've got to have a lot of influence from your front offices. But in terms of what the players say, liking him, respecting him, he'll make tough decisions and seems like he definitely is a winner.
So in fairness to Dave, if those decisions are being micromanaged and they're coming from upstairs, then the upstairs people should extend him and give him the right. Now, it's an interesting situation in Dodger Town because before Dave came in, Don Mattingly was there. He just won the NL West, just won the NL West, just won the NL West. Things didn't work out in the playoffs. Dave comes in, he's winning the NL West. Didn't win the NL West last year because of the Giants, but ends up winning a World Series with that team. But it is a nice situation for Dave Roberts to be in, and I think he does deserve a extension because there's nothing wrong with the process. And to the front office credit, you bring in Mookie Betts, correct? Singer leaves, but you got Trey Turner that I can play at shortstop. Okay, now let's go get Freddie Freeman. It's a nice place to be the manager right there. Now, you can't throw a 70 and 90 season up there.
High expectations.
That doesn't work. But when you're dealing with that situation, the players play for them. And whatever happens in the postseason, we know that that's a little bit of a crapshoot anyway, postseason baseball. Somebody gets hot, you run into somebody, they beat you. A couple of pitchers get on the bump, they pitch well, they beat you. I get that and understand that. So if you're in a situation like Dave's in, and if the front office is doing anything decision-wise, then don't blame him if it doesn't work out.
I was just following my orders from the boss.
There you go.
2 images stand out when I think of Dave Roberts as manager. One, when they won that World Series, there's a slow-motion shot of him and Clayton Kershaw, and he said, I'm so proud of you, which is a great moment. And another one was last year when he took Max Scherzer out of the game. I said, God, Mad Max might fight him on the mound. But Roberts, to his credit, he came running out of that dugout. You got to be assertive, right? Give me the ball. Let's go. There's no conversation here.
So, and Max didn't pitch last year against the Braves, right, in Game 6? Shoulder fatigue. He threw 5 in his first outing out of spring training. So, that's the guy that you want to be able to look at things. And here's my one concern about the game and the story of the analytics now that it's a noun. It's not analyzing. It's not a verb. It's analytics. It's a noun. And I think sometimes we look so much at this big pile of stuff that we got, and we say, this is what the numbers say. But the information that's right out in front of you, right out in front of you, and to turn this tide, when Tampa was playing the Dodgers, and Snell came out, I guarantee the players in the dugout on the Dodgers side were throwing a party. Because that was a different Snell. Whether you can get 3 times through a lineup during the regular season, and the numbers support this, but this, what I'm watching right now in front of me, that was a different dude. There was a different bit of efficiency out of that. And I think that sometimes we look at that information, we ignore it, and we look at this pile of data that we have for everything else. So you still have to look at the information that's right in front, and I want to verb it. I want to analyze what I'm seeing instead of just use the noun analytics all the time.
So I always love a pitcher that says, I'm not giving you the ball. I want to keep going. I got this. What concerns me is because we're getting to this era in which guys only go 2 times, you'll see a guy go 2 times a lot and then look to the dugout like, we're good? Like, I'm done. That would concern me.
As a player, you really don't want the guy when the manager's coming out to flip him the ball.
Thanks. I was waiting for that.
Start hat tipping, because we've had some hat tips on 5 1/3. People coming off the bump. Not necessarily, not necessarily what we want.
No, that's not necessarily what we want. Still to come here. On Hot Stove, we're just getting things started, but lots to cook on, including Aaron Judge. What's going on with him and the New York Yankees? Says he wants to be a Yankee forever. He's got 1 year left on his deal, so this should be a fairly easy deal to do, right? Plus, we'll talk with the San Diego Padres and their options at short.